Who jumps out of perfectly good airplanes in the name of science? Mr. C.
Well, happy Aloha Friday to you all, and a happy Aloha Friday it is. Woohoo! Excuse me. NASA and JPL did it. I said yesterday that the Perseverance spacecraft would either soft land or crash land on the surface of Mars. And soft landed it did just 2 hours ago. Mr. C, this is Friday. I thought it was Thursday. I'm taping this Thursday late afternoon. And about 2 p.m. as you were starting period 7, Perseverance did its final approach and landing on the surface of Mars. So, woohoo! Time to celebrate. And on Monday, I will have a goodie of some kind to pass out to you, and we will have a micro celebratory party. Mr. Phillip will practice safe handling, safe procedures. I will make sure of that. It is an amazing feat, traveling 300 million miles from Earth to Mars. It had to leave Earth and get going 25,000 miles an hour, which it did. Then on the way there, NASA and JPL engineers had to slow it down. It entered the Martian atmosphere at 12,000 miles per hour, and it had to slow down to 2 miles an hour so it could soft land on the surface of Mars. And congratulations to the amazing team of hundreds of scientists, engineers, that made it happen. It went through an amazing number, tens and tens of intricate computer steps and instructions that had to occur autonomously. They couldn't send messages up to it because it was between 7 and 11 light minutes away. It took that long for messages to get to Perseverance, and then another 7 to 11 to return. I know the video that I showed you said 7. I heard today as I watched the 2 hours leading up to the landing that was actually an 11-minute journey from Earth up to Perseverance and 11 minutes back to verify anything or signal back. Just an incredibly complex machine and a bunch of instructions that it went through automatically, just the way the computers were programmed. Amazing, amazing, amazing. By the way, it proves there has to be a God. What? It proves there has to be a God. Well, God didn't make Perseverance, I know. But hundreds of JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration scientists, and very, very intelligent people, some of the smartest people on the planet, had to design and build and program Perseverance. If you've got a program, computer program, there's got to be a programmer. Couldn't happen accidentally. All of those, probably hundreds of thousands of computer commands, had to be programmed way ahead of time. It was designed, the whole thing, over an 8-year period by JPL and NASA designers, scientists. If you've got a design, there's got to be a designer. It was built by these same JPL and NASA scientists. If you've got a builder or something that has been built, you've got to have a builder. It doesn't happen by accident. Now, as I said, incredibly intelligent people. Now listen to this, and make sure you hear me. Make sure you understand what I'm saying, because I'm not minimizing this amazing mission to Mars in any way. Over an 8-year period, all of this happened. And I am extremely proud of everyone who accomplished this. And it is a great honor for NASA, JPL, and for the United States of America. It's just so amazing. But I want to explain something to you. The DNA found in every one of your cells is far more complex. By far. In fact, the Perseverance spacecraft is incredibly simple compared to the DNA in your cells. And yet evolutionists, in fact, many scientists, millions of scientists around the earth, say this. They say that your body, human life, evolved. And all life evolved. No one made it. It was all accidental. No one involved. That's ridiculous. It's ludicrous. It's just silliness. But they say it because they don't want to believe in a God. Because they assume there's no God. So what are they left with? Well, it had to happen accidentally somehow. Which is craziness. By the way, do you know there's a law in science called the Law of Biogenesis? I taught it to you months ago. The Law of Biogenesis. Bio-life, biology, study of life, bio. Okay, and Genesis, the beginning of. So there's a law, scientific law, that biologists know about. And they admit it if you press them on it. What does it say? Life can only come from other living things. It could never come from non-life. It's a law. Now, it is, I'm not going to really believe that or go there. So it is forgotten about by a lot of scientists. Hello, guys. You can't get life unless it comes from other life that reproduces. It's just too complex. The law of biogenesis. It's a law. And then you already know about the other evidences that evolution could not ever happen by itself. There'd be all kinds of evidence of it. And there's not. There's not at all. Now, I want to point out something about Mars and the Earth, and then I'm going to come back to it. Okay? It's assumed that Mars evolved. You heard it mentioned in that 24-minute video that I showed you over the last 3 days. Mars supposedly evolved. The reason that scientists say Mars evolved is because the Earth evolved. So it's assumed Mars evolved and the other planets in the solar system. It's assumed the stars evolved. It's assumed the Big Bang caused all of that. May I remind you, explosions like the Big Bang don't cause intricacy or complexity. They cause chaos. Explosions go boom and cause chaos, randomness. They don't cause things to get more complex. They cause things to get way more simple, to break apart, to not come together and form more complex things. It's just silly. But that's how supposedly the universe formed. And the evidence that is cited that the Big Bang caused the universe to form is so slim and so, I'll say thin, and so not very scientific when you look carefully at it. Okay? So I'm going to come back to that and what this mission was about to Mars. Now again, I can't tell you how excited I still am. I watched the whole thing leading up to it, like 2 hours ahead of time. Sounds like you, Mr. C. Well, I told you already yesterday. that as a kid, when I was a freshman or a sophomore, I watched a number of space missions. Remember, I talked my mom into letting me stay home so I could see a number of NASA launches because I was so excited about it. And I would say my excitement level has not dropped off one iota. And that was a few tens of years ago. Wink, wink. So anyway, just really, 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 really cool. Now, I told you that I was postponing our test to at least Tuesday. We'll see, it might even, well, I'll just say right now it's postponed till Tuesday. So on that test, I'm going to ask you about the major characteristics of Mars. What is Mars like? It is extremely cold. Why? It's a long way from the heater, a lot further away from the sun than Earth is. Remember, Earth is a Goldilocks planet. Just right. So Earth has just the right temperatures, not Mars. Mars is too far away. So it's super cold, like Antarctica. On average, minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe even colder. And then during its coldest nights, the temperature drops to minus 195. By the way, Perseverance had to be built to withstand this incredible cold. It's got heaters on board to keep the computers working. They can't work. They can't survive in that extreme cold. Antarctic cold. So Mars is incredibly cold. It's incredibly dry. There's no precip, no clouds to cause precipitation. It's incredibly dusty. It's covered with surface dust, and it has another characteristic. It has high winds from time to time, causing big dust storms. It's got an incredibly thin atmosphere, 1% as thick as Earth's atmosphere. What's it made of? You breathe in, O2 in, CO2 out. It's made of CO2, carbon dioxide. So not a great gas for living things found on Earth to breathe. So obviously, if we send astronauts there, we're going to have to provide oxygen for them. By the way, Perseverance has a part called MOXIE, which is a mini machine on the rover that's going to try to make oxygen, liquid oxygen, and gaseous oxygen out of carbon dioxide. They're going to give it a try. Mars rotates in about 25 hours, about the same as the Earth. So it had water at one time. The landing site of Perseverance was in Jezero crater. And it went down to Jezero because there's evidence, Curiosity, the last rover that got up there 8 years ago, and then it's taken 8 years to build Perseverance. So, and launch it and get it there. So anyway, Curiosity found evidence of water on the planet. And there's evidence that water flowed across Jezero crater at one time, like stream beds that are dried up now. So, and there's evidence that maybe there were minerals that were made in water. So, and they landed in Jezero crater because they wonder if there aren't fossils of microorganisms, tiny living things. So one of the big reasons they went there is to see if Mars ever had life. Now, could Mars have life on it? It could, but how would it have gotten there? Remember the law of biogenesis? Could only form from other life, only form from a creator. So if there's life there, God made it. So now it's assumed it evolved because it's assumed life evolved on Earth from these scientists. So they're wrong. God made it. And if there's life there, God made that life. So don't get all upset if they find life. No worries. God could make life there. It would have to be very different than on Earth because the conditions are so different and so extreme compared to Earth. So what do you think, Mr. C? Do you think they'll find life? I'll wait and see. Okay? I'd be surprised, but if there's life there, God made it. Just keep that in mind. So You've got to have water for life, as found on Earth, so that's why Jezero Crater. So it'll be interesting. The gravity on Mars is only about 38% of Earth. Like I said, if you weigh 100 pounds on Earth, you would weigh 38 pounds on Mars. So only 38% of your Earth weight. So if you don't weigh exactly 100 pounds, get your calculator out in the future and just put your weight in and multiply times 0.38 and you'll get your Mars weight. So there's a huge Grand Canyon on Mars that's 10 times deeper than our Grand Canyon here in Arizona. And there's a volcano that's 3 times as high. Instead of being about 5 miles high, it's 15 miles high, about 3 times. So anyway, it takes 687 days, about 2 years for Mars to revolve, about twice as long for Mars to revolve around the sun. So there are the major characteristics of Mars. Now I ask you some questions that we'll probably have to answer on Monday. Why is it orangish red? Now I'll answer them today, and if you should have your journal out, and if you want to put your answers in today, great, and then I'll cover them again on Monday. Why is it orangish red? Because of iron oxide. Because iron in the soil combining with water and oxygen at one time. There was oxygen on Mars, apparently. So it's got iron oxide in the soil, like Australia, or like the reddish soil up in the Sedona area. Why is it so cold? Because it's a long way from the sun, a lot longer distance away from the sun. It has a thin atmosphere, so it doesn't have an atmospheric blanket like we do on Earth to hold in the heat. By the way, these days here in Phoenix, when there's not as much moisture in the air, when the atmosphere is drier, then not as much heat is held on to, and the temperatures drop more at night. Right now our temperatures are dropping 30 degrees or so here in the Phoenix area because it's pretty dry, not as much moisture in the air to hold on to the heat. And our atmosphere is thicker, so the temperature doesn't drop as much. Why no precipitation, no water cycle, no condensation, so no clouds that could produce precipitation? Why less gravity? Why only 38% of the Earth gravity? Because Mars is only about half the diameter, a little bit more, but not much. Therefore, it's got way less mass, and if it's got less mass, it's got less gravitational pull. So anyway, so again, why the big temperature swing on Mars? Thin atmosphere and a relatively slow rotation at 25 days. So why a 7 to 11 minute delay in sending and receiving signals? Because it is so far away from Earth. It's 7 to 11 light minutes away. Those messages go at light speed, and it takes them between 7 and 11 minutes to be sent from Perseverance. So why is it cratered so much? It's got a lot of craters. Why? Because it's got a thin atmosphere, so it doesn't have a shield like Earth has. It's similar to the moon. It's got some atmosphere to act as a very thin shield to block somewhat meteorites, but not much. So I already told you why do we think there's life there. It's just assumed. We assume life, not me. I know God made it, because that's what it says in the creation days. And in John 1:3, all things were made by him, including life. So, and it just strikes me, it says in John, in him was life. Jesus created life. He will give us eternal life. So, anyway, so it's just assumed there's life there. There's no proof of that. So, and then why is it assumed that Mars is so old, like 4 billion years old? It's just an assumption. There's no absolute proof of the age of any place in the solar system. Well, I thought the Big Bang occurred 13 billion years ago. It's purely an assumption. There's no hard scientific evidence for that. And there's no hard scientific evidence for the ages of rocks. It's just assumed those rocks were formed over billions of years. And therefore, it's assumed that the Earth and the other planets are super old, billions of years old. So when you hear billions of years, just go, assumption. It's not scientific evidence. It's only assumed. So it's assumed. I'll spend more time on that. Anyway, on this Happy Aloha Friday, I want you to get to watch the last 10 minutes or so of Perseverance coming into Mars. I wanted you to I wanted to read to you a few of the last minute tweets that Perseverance made. Here are the tweets that Perseverance made. So I've got to go this way, and let's see if they're still here. Here's one of the last tweets that it made as it came in. No turning back now. I have just turned on my retro rockets. And that was about, I think, 5 minutes above the surface. So now, of course, the computer sent these. And then and I hope I can show you this. I'm assuming I can, but I'll show you this now. An actual first picture from Perseverance on the surface, and the accompanying tweet says, and another look behind me, welcome to Jezero Crater. So pretty cool. And that was sent just a few minutes after it landed. I hope you can see this in the video I'm going to show you. So we'll start that video now. The descent of Perseverance onto the surface of Mars just about 2.5 hours ago now. Boy, was it exciting, and I was right. Those JPL NASA scientists were on pins and needles, as a lot of them are going to tell you. Enjoy this video. Have a great weekend. Study if you want to a little bit. Test on Tuesday as of now. See you on Monday.